Live from the TerraSpaces studio in beautiful downtown Burbank, it's time for the Tegridy Review. For TerraSpaces.org and Tegridy.news, I'm Finn Martin, and here's what you might have missed this week. We ended the month of May with 135 spaces edited and archived. Starting off the week, White Whale had their Rockaway special going over decentralization and the validator set. Our first clip comes from Martin from Rockaway discussing a little bit about credible neutrality.
Let me take a step back first and talk about credible neutrality, right? One essay that really got me thinking was the essay by Vitalik called Credible Neutrality. It was about Ethereum at that time, or blockchains in general. But credible neutrality says two very important things. One, in order to be able to use an infrastructure and just believe that you can stay on it, you will not be kicked off on it for no reason, that infrastructure needs to be in some sense neutral. And the credibility part is even more important. It doesn't just have to be neutral. You have to be able to demonstrate it and explain it to people, right? So that they can then have trust in the system, and then you can actually grow your ecosystem. The decentralization part, so decentralization, I think, is a word that's super often used in blockchain. And it's a word that's, it's easy to say, but it's hard to actually do. In some sense, I'd say it's easy to talk, but it's hard to walk the walk. Right? Decentralization is a property of systems which avoids single points of control, which can negatively affect the system. Right? So what you're trying to do if you're decentralizing a system is you're trying to distribute the power to control and change the systems into many hands so that no one or few entities can go and somehow negatively affect the community or other parties in the system.
Next up from the same space, what is the Nakamoto Coefficient?
So the Nakamoto Coefficient is a number, and the number signifies the smallest, the size of the smallest set of validators that can collude together to stop the chain. So if you take the validators from largest to smallest by voting power, and you keep adding that voting power, keep building that basket, the validator at which you get to 1/3 of the voting power, that's the one, that's the final in the Nakamoto set. And the number of validators in that basket is the Nakamoto Coefficient. And that's talking about the Nakamoto Coefficient from the perspective of individual validators, right? So as Sencom previously said, maybe one more point to this, decentralization has to be tracked across multiple dimensions. Now, the tooling that we developed, the observatory, doesn't capture all of those dimensions. That needs to be said really clearly. The observatory focuses on a part of the chain that's connected to infrastructure, that's associated with infrastructure. As such, we look at how the chain is decentralized or dispersed across various dimensions that we specialize on. The traditional, the typical dimension that you see mentioned everywhere is the dimension of validator voting power. And that's connected with the vanilla, with the original Nakamoto Coefficient. So the Nakamoto Coefficient for the Migalo blockchain is 10, while your validator set is 50, which is pretty nice.
Up next, Sencom and Martin discuss decentralization and why it's truly important.
Mistakes happen, and there is corruption, or there can be corruption happening, and that's why focusing on decentralization or decentralizing the distribution of the nodes when it comes to the internet is a very important metric as well.
100%. And what's one more thing that's really important about decentralization? Decentralization is about capping the effect of catastrophes, right? In case they happen. It's not focusing on the probability of catastrophes. I mean, you can ask questions like, hey, when did the last data center go offline? That doesn't happen very often. And my response to that is always like, look, if you want to manage $1 billion in TVL on the blockchain, I'm not really interested in probabilities. I'm trying to what I want to see is how you're moving ahead of these risks. And decentralization is exactly that. It's exactly moving ahead of these risks. Decentralizing across more ISPs means if one of them just makes the call and shuts things down, if you lose 10% of the network, that can be back in no time, and you have a large safety margin. So this is the way we think, blockchains should protect themselves and think about safety by decentralizing, which means getting ahead of the risk and just mitigating that risk, like reducing its bite.
And in the last clip we have here from the space, Ponzi Ninja brings up the white whale milestones. Now things are getting interesting. Raise the Nakamoto Coefficient, and let's get some heads shaved.
And milestone 3, which is, in my opinion, the most interesting, is 3 random delegators win $500 worth of whale. So we're going to select 3 random people that will earn, that re-delegated in order to help the network decentralize, and send them $500 worth of whale. And Sancom will shave his head. If that is not an offer for the community, I don't know what is. So
that's your sacrifice.
Also on the 29th, the Cosmos Club had Deedle from Archway on to discuss their upcoming launch. Cosmos Joe hosted episode 13 of his DeFi 101 series featuring Ryan Lyon from Lion DAO, with a discussion on building DAOs on Enterprise versus DAO and DAO tooling in general. Our first clip here, Joe really showing off his hosting chops, first allowing CJ to ask a 4-minute long question, but then before actually letting Ryan give his answer, he goes straight over to Mr. Mohawk. Classic Joe.
And CJ, whatever you want to chime in with, feel free. I know you were waiting in that Mohawk next.
Thanks, guys. Good conversation. Good to get Ryan talking about this stuff. At the risk of complimenting Ryan and giving him another CJ stamp of approval, I want to say one of the things that wasn't touched on is the benefit that people like Ryan bring to the builders of different apps and protocols, because I know that there would have been a lot of feedback that he and his team would have given to Enterprise Money about features that maybe were missing or were broken or didn't work so well. And so the exploratory process in terms of an active team working with people who kind of had the theory of how it could work, but didn't necessarily know how it might work in practice, has been beneficial, certainly to the Enterprise team and to that tool being refined. Even a smooth brain like me kind of trying to participate in DAO governance and coming up with a proposal and then not realizing that it was just a text proposal. And in order for a proposal to work, it had to be attached to like a COSM, WASM script or whatever the heck it is. It's a learning process for everyone. And I know that that's something that Ryan and the people that have been working behind the scenes have added as value to Enterprise Money. And so that's something that people should be encouraged. It's not a two-way streak in terms of, a one-way streak in terms of, it's just up to the devs to make something and then that's it. But you can actually help fine-tune and improve the tool as you use and play with it. One of the questions I wanted to ask, and happy Joe, Ryan, anyone on the panel to get their thoughts, is how decentralized does a DAO need to be from a percentage perspective, do you think, in order for it to be considered decentralized from a voting and a governance perspective, i.e. what's the largest kind of percentage or share of control of a DAO do you think that can exist in order for it to be considered a DAO? Because one of the comments that was made earlier, I think it was by Mayor, in terms of people getting annoyed by not having a say in whatever else is, you can kind of realize pretty quickly in certain DAOs, and I've been involved in a couple, that a DAO can be an illusion of a community vote, but potentially controlled by one or two people. So I'm just keen to get the thought of people on the panel about what that needs to look like for it to be considered, I guess, really a decentralized vehicle. And then in the position of that, maybe from Ryan's perspective, what his goal or hope is for Lion DAO in terms of that decentralization down the track.
I'll let Mohawk jump in first.
Oh, Joe, baby, why would you do that? It was such a long, drawn-out question. And then he just completely is like, cool story, bro. Mohawk, hop on in here.
What's going on, guys? Joe, appreciate you letting me hop up here with you guys.
Hey, no problem, man. No problem.
Just wanted to circle back a little bit on, the whole.
Can I answer? Can I answer CJ's question if you're going to go for something else?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, at least somebody has some professionalism and some couth and some class here. Thank you, Ryan, for getting us back on track.
Yeah, sorry, bro. Like, you come in straight after, but like, I guess he asked the question, so like, I wanted to give him an answer. I think it's quite interesting because we started off this conversation with like DAOs can take lots of different forms, and they can be like just a few people making decisions versus a lot of people making decisions. When I like fired up Lion DAO, it's like I mean, the first thing that came to mind was the absolute mess that Aqua DAO got themselves into on Juno, where they didn't properly protect their DAO with like a sufficient stake to stop a malicious governance attack. So staked 10% of the tokens in order to like prevent that from happening. I as of now, let's have a look here. I've got like 39% of the voting power still in the DAO, which I think is definitely like too high. And obviously part of the reason why I've been just airdropping tokens left, right, and center is to try and get more people to stake.
Speaking of getting more people, this next clip, Ryan Lyon tells us how badly he yearns for the Juno community.
The hope, a year from now, you have a lot of different DAOs, and then a few of them crack the code on the best way to distribute or do airdrops. And then it leads to more decentralization.
This is why I needed the Juno crowd, because we haven't got the concept to sub DAOs down yet. So it's not even an option. But I think that's a great thing, because I'd love to see like a DAO council voted in, and maybe give them like some ability to take certain actions without having to go through central governance, because right now everything on enterprise has to go through central governance, and it can be a real fucking pain in the ass, like for minor things, right? So
all right, and the last clip here, I just want to point out how gracefully Joe ends the space. And then, all right, I'm done picking on Joe now, so who's next?
Anyone else has any ideas for these DeFi spaces? I'm all ears. I got a bunch of good ones lined up. I got Shade Protocol coming Wednesday. Just talk about the different types of stablecoins, pros, cons, risks of different stablecoins. I've got a space with an OG Stargaze project, Cosmic Horizon, that's launching their own blockchain. They're going to talk about the end of airdrops as we know it. That's going to be a nice FUD space. I've got Crescent coming. I've got NIM Protocol coming.
I'm sure you do, Joe. That's great. Let's get you to bed now. That's going to wrap up the 29th. Tuesday, May 30th, Cosmos Club had a space with Calc, Chainlink, on Starknet. We caught the last 40 minutes of the XDeFi Wallet Future of Swaps space. And then Wednesday, May 31st, we have OmniFlix, Flix Talk episode 70. And from there, we got a clip here of Sisla discussing the recent upgrade on the OmniFlix network.
First, let me start off by sharing an insight into the protocol engineering aspects. There was the Huckleberry update that is actually happening right now. We're utilizing IBCV3, the Huckleberry patch. Like, for those that might or might not be aware, validators will definitely be aware. They've been like patching various chains with this update. So that is now live. So if you are a validator validating the OmniFlix hub, please check the mainnet validators channel on Discord so that you have enough information to take this forward. So this is the Huckleberry patch that's ongoing right now. We have had multiple validators that confirmed as well. So yeah, that is for the validators and the node hosts and the people that are running RPCs or full nodes or archive nodes on the OmniFlix network.
After that, we had Rack FM, FUD versus FUD, the first space in that series. Well, might be a series, we'll see. It was Finn versus the Pikey. Then we had Shade Protocol discussing moving into ETH and the meta engine. We have a clip from that space here. Carter explains what value Shade is bringing back to the cosmos.
I didn't know if you wanted to kind of touch on, Carter, what you think some of the value that is being unlocked with these two additions to the Shade Bridge are.
For sure. So I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of these Ethereum users that are becoming increasingly comfortable with using L2 ecosystems like Arbitrum and Optimism. And we have this really big opportunity now that we have the Axelar bridge interface, tied into the Shade Protocol app directly, to actually, onboard these users into Cosmos and onboard them into Shade Protocol. I really want the user experience to be something that an Ethereum user is comfortable with. If we do our job right, once we have MetaMask compatibility on the Shade app, an Ethereum user doesn't even need to know that they're on a Cosmos chain. They don't even need to know that they're on Secure Network. What they need to know is that their data is protected, that they're using something that empowers them with privacy, that protects their trade positions, that protects their lending positions, that they're entering into this very cohesive and simplistic Shade DeFi ecosystem that is more powerful than many of the Ethereum apps they use in terms of the protections that it can guarantee. And so that's ultimately what this is all about. This is about onboarding the next generation of private DeFi users from Ethereum, from Cosmos, into the Shade Protocol dApp suite. And you do that by making the user experience as seamless and as easy as possible. And we've been very, very focused on Cosmos for the first, year and a year and a half of the journey. But increasingly, I think there's an opportunity here to onboard Ethereum users too.
The next clip we have, Carter's thoughts on the meta engine and how much it might help with the inflation issue of Shade.
I would say, considering the current product adoption and how large Silk needs to get and the other products need to get, I would say that's a fair assessment. It's not a staking gets launched and 6 months later, there's more fees being accrued than inflation being spent to bootstrap, the user base and the liquidity. So I would say that's an accurate assessment. I do think, however, that the growth of Silk and the products, when the pieces kind of click, can happen a lot quicker than we think, right? Like in the bottom of a bear market, and it is brutal where we are. I think it's easy to forget the network effects of these products and actually Cosmos in general. So I guess my primary counterpoint would be that in the current liquidity situation of Cosmos and crypto in general, I would say yes, we're looking at a year to 2 years at the earliest before these types of meta engine mechanics start to outpace the inflation of the protocol. I think that's a fair take. I think the counterpoint is that things can turn around fast, and when liquidity starts flowing again on a macro scale, and it starts to flow into crypto, that the flywheel that Shade Protocol is building and designing will allow it to multiply exponentially faster than other protocols that aren't positioned with as many products or with as strong of a flywheel. So TLDR, product usage is the only way to actually sustainably win. That's always been a part of the meta engine theory. Is you have to kind of build your way out of it, but you also need the users to actually use it. And so right now, the meta engine isn't a silver bullet. It is something to look forward to. It is the beginning of a long journey. But it's the products and their adoption that actually wins the game of sustainability, not any sort of tokenomic, Ponzi-nomic magic trick.
Up next, Duality Labs hosted a space discussing multi-chain UX. From that, we have a couple clips. We got some hot takes here. First one, Nicholas from Duality Labs shares his hot take.
I think that it's a miracle that Cosmos has gathered as much attention and liquidity as it has, given the state of infrastructure. I think that's a hot take, and I think a lot of it is because of the UX, and a lot of it also comes back to what I think was it Shane or the issue with Stargaze. I'd love to get into a really quick example of our team struggling to buy Bad Kid on Stargaze. One of us had to spin up an osmosis node to find a hidden pool on to perform a swap, and then some other of us had to go on Crescent to get the airdrop to move to Juno to finally get back to osmosis to be able to pay the gas fee to swap for stars to send over to Stargaze. So it's a lot. It's not friendly. This is why we're here, and yeah, and I'm not sure how taught that was, but yeah, I think it's truly miraculous that we're all here.
Sam Hart shares his hot take.
My hot take is most devs have not used Cosmos, and it shows. Because if they did, a lot of these UX issues would be, first priority, and the kind of state of affairs right now is kind of unacceptable.
Hot takes indeed, but true. After that, Stargaze hosted their community space discussing bots and mints in reference to the Cosmos Kiwis recent mint. And after that, Cosmos Joe hosted episode 14 of DeFi 101. How many of these is he doing a week? Don't you have a job teaching real people in the real world? How are you making so much content? Anyway, episode 14 of DeFi 101 discussing stablecoins with Carter from Shade Protocol. In this first clip, Carter explains the core values of what they're trying to build here and why they chose to build on Secret Network.
Silk is IBC compatible, right? So Silk, once it leaves Secret Network, is a totally transparent stablecoin. There's actually a world where Silk grows, 2 years from now, there's 100 million Silk, 200 million in circulation. And there's a world where actually the vast majority of that supply lives on a transparent blockchain like Osmosis. It's completely possible. And within that totally transparent environment, now the problems tied to what you've described, where people are worried about mixers and privacy, become less prevalent, right? So that there's a world where that happens. The second piece is also the tooling on Secret Network is very interesting. This more goes to a deeper philosophical ethos piece. I refuse to give in to a world where DeFi helps facilitate the surveillance state. The whole point of crypto is sovereignty and empowering people with their finances. And so the very attributes that people would say are dangerous are the very same things that are protections. And the reason we chose Secret Network is because, to this date, it is the only blockchain with privacy-preserving smart contracts that gives you the tooling to easily be able to build out these powerful apps and primitives using the existing cryptographic, primitives that Secret Network provides. So privacy is worth protecting. If I have a business and I want to pay a contractor on chain, or I want to pay employees on chain, and I don't want the rest of the world to know what I'm paying them, I need privacy. If I'm a trader and I've developed an incredibly complex DeFi strategy, and that's totally transparent, people can copycat trade me, and everything that I've worked hard to create, my creativity and my alpha, it goes away. If I'm a retail user or an institution and I've put, tens of millions of dollars into a lending position, and I'm completely naked for the whole world to see my liquidation price point, that's dangerous. Privacy is equitable in the world of DeFi. It helps solve the, ShadeSwap, for instance, is 100% front-running resistant. You need encrypted mempools, or you start to have centralization at the block production level because there's value that can be extracted from users. Privacy in cryptography is not it shouldn't be seen as dangerous. E-commerce, when it first emerged with Netscape back in the 1990s and 2000s, they literally invented cryptography for commerce because that was needed in order to protect, their customers' data. So this narrative that's emerged that, like total transparency good and any amount of privacy is bad is ludicrous. It's a battle that our industry has to draw a line on. We have to be willing to fight for it. And sure, is there a world where they come and they ban any form of privacy? Sure, but you can bet your ass I'll be there building, and there'll be hundreds of us out there still building privacy preserving technology, because privacy empowers people and finance deserves to be free.
Privacy empowers people and finance deserves to be free. That is fucking beautiful. Next clip here, Carter explains a few things builders in the Cosmos ecosystem come up against and what they're trying to really build with Silk and these other projects.
2 years ago when we set out to build it and we outlined this, I had went to conference after conference where I described it to people, and everyone was like, nah, like, that's not going to work. The world isn't ready for that. That's not, like, people only want dollars. Like, you're crazy, right? And, like, the team had conviction for 2 years that, like, the market, people want to hold something that's truly resilient, truly decentralized. And it's quirky, it's different, it's weird, but, like, 10 years from now, will it truly be quirky and weird, or in hindsight, will it have been obvious that the whole point of crypto was to embrace more unstoppable versions, more stable versions of money than just these sovereign countries can back, right? So it's been a story of resilience to get where we are today. And, there's only 3.3 million Silk in the first month, and it's early. It's very, very early, but I'm very excited to see more and more people believe and pick up on the vision of Silk, and like where they choose to store their value becomes not only a question of security and stability, but also one of ethos. And I think Silk is well positioned to really speak to that group of people. On the Oracle front, right now, the BAN protocol is the source of data feeds. So they essentially pipe in data onto Secret Network for all the different smart contracts to be able to query from. If any price feed doesn't get piped in to be queryable, there is a mechanism where the Silk peg and in what it's tracking becomes a static stablecoin. We actually, and I'm sure, Timmy, I'm sure you saw this tweet because I know you track these things. What actually happened, Secret Network went offline for 12 hours. And so all the Silk smart contracts, all the stability mechanisms essentially treated Silk as, $1.04, right? It was frozen at that point in time. All stability mechanisms are pointing back towards that. And then once the Oracle data feeds come back online, there's this renormalization process, and then Silk once again becomes a dynamic stablecoin where, now Silk is tracking $1 and for like 4 cents, and now it's tracking $1.05, right? Like it kind of resumed its process of tracking those changing price feeds. So BAN protocol has been a good solution. They have a very limited number of available price feeds, although in fairness to them, that's because they actually have really good standards for what they consider a stable asset that they can actually pipe information in on. We're looking to next aggregate BAN protocol with OHO. Umi has bumped into the same exact problem that we bumped into, and a lot of Cosmos projects are finding out about this, which is Cosmos does not have a great, rapidly growing Oracle project. And Umi, because they're a money market, are very much reliant on being able to onboard assets into a safe Oracle. And so they kind of spun up OHO as a solution for this. So we're actively working with the OHO team on test nets, and eventually we'll be aggregating between these two different Oracle solutions. And ideally, one day Chainlink comes to Cosmos. Ideally, there's a fourth solution, a fifth solution, and we're aggregating across a consensus of multiple Oracles. So do I feel good about the Oracle setup right now? I feel solid. We've survived one stress test in terms of 12 hours of downtime. I will sleep much better once we're aggregating across 2 Oracle solutions instead of 1.
Moving on to June 1st, Comdex had their weekly space featuring Stride. White Whale had their community call. From the White Whale community call, we have a clip here from CENTCOM talking about the Carbon and White Whale partnership.
Regarding the next steps or the way forward, so correct me if I'm wrong, CJ, but you guys got the proposals up for Terra, so congrats on that. And we want to give the community a little bit more time to think about it, or think about the Carbon Whale alliance before we put it on chain. But the goal is to put the proposals up next week, early next week, so we can get this partnership going. So we will whitelist only 1 liquid staking token, and Carbon will whitelist Whale, Amp Whale, and Bone Whale, because we have 2. Correct?
Yeah, that's right. So everything is still being discussed, but at the moment, this is the proposed plan. And if everything goes smoothly, then that's probably going to happen next week. So yeah, fingers crossed, both management approves this parameters and all that.
Next clip here, Sebastian from White Whale shares his thoughts on the Carbon Whale partnership.
What's interesting to me, a couple things about this specific alliance. One, I used to use Switch.io back in, 2018 or whenever it was. So I remember them from way back in the day, and was always a fan, to be honest. But this is more of a lateral alliance than, say, for example, one between Migaloo and Terra, or Carbon and Terra for that matter, where market caps are just super disproportionate, and you basically have an alliance between a sort of a mid cap or a high cap and a low cap project. This is more lateral, so again, everything that we're doing with Alliance is experimental, right? This is all bleeding edge, but there's a difference in dynamics here, right? And so there will be a difference. So we're discussing the parameters and kind of the specifics of the deal. That's something that's considered. But I'm excited to see how it plays out, right? Because I think there is a place for both, balanced lateral alliances as well as kind of disproportionate ones where you hitch your wagon to a Terra or an Atom or a larger chain, right? So, again, this will all be interesting to see how it plays out. Another interesting thing for me personally is, this is almost an Eastern-Western alliance as well. I mean, most of our guys are in Europe. We have a couple in the US and here and there, but we don't really have too many, Asia guys. Carbon is an Asian project. So there's that dynamic as well at play, right? So again, all of these things, are considered, and I think, as CENTCOM said, this is a good match, right? We're excited that they have adopted Alliance, and to kind of see how, just to kind of play in the sandbox and experiment with them on this. I think it'll be fun.
After that, we had Into the Yumiverse featuring Ojo. I still don't know. Co-founder of Ojo, Waz, shares his thoughts about why they wanted to work on Oracle stuff.
The existing Oracle technology that's kind of dominated the market for the last few years, and sort of powered this DeFi summer event that happened. It's kind of built for the last generation of blockchain technology. We're moving into this proof of stake world. We have more trust minimized bridges like IBC that are working very, very effectively. We can support a large amount of transactions in very small blocks, and we have much faster block time. And so a lot of those kind of come together and make the technology that Chainlink and Band have built out not so effective, because anybody can launch a token, anybody can launch a DeFi protocol a lot more easily because of these sort of scaling L1s that are becoming more and more popular. So we kind of looked at that when we were building out the leverage protocol on Umi. Originally, I tried to use Chainlink adapters for Oracle price feeds to do sort of a band implementation. I spent a few months kind of just messing around, and we sort of realized that if we wanted to build this incredibly low latency leverage protocol, we also needed an incredibly low latency Oracle with as much as 100% uptime as possible. So, existing solutions had problems like 30-minute price delays sometimes, and we really couldn't trust the Oracle architecture that was there to support this new product that we were building out very early on in the UMI days. So, this Oracle was kind of born. We took a lot of inspiration from the folks at Terra who built this awesome Oracle for the very sad UST collapse that occurred. But that was probably the best example of the Oracle working in the real world, right? UST wouldn't have collapsed as effectively as it did if not for that low latency Oracle. So we built this sort of data consensus layer onto UMI, and as we started to bring up the UMI chain and go to our V3 upgrade that we did to Cosmoverse, we sort of figured out that all these other chains were having the same problem. I would talk to a bunch of different folks across the Cosmos community, and they were essentially building these very small versions of what they had promised the community because of a lack of oracles, right? When you're building out like Comdex, for instance, they're not able to get effective pricing information for synthetic assets, or stable coins became very huge. And a great example of that is like USK and Silk from Secret. They need dependable oracles to build these collateralized stable coins, and have like 60, 100 different assets that are in these pools, but they tend to be limited to like 5 or 6 that they can do. So OHO really answers the problem of sort of that next generation of Oracle technology that not just the Cosmos needs, but sort of the rest of the ecosystem outside of Cosmos. But that's kind of the problem we're trying to solve.
Up next, Woz goes into a little bit on their deployment strategy.
The deployment strategy for OHO is very wide, but what we want to do first is really establish this foothold in the Cosmos ecosystem, because we're a Cosmos first chain, right? We want to be the bridge for Atom, Osmosis, liquid staking derivatives into these other ecosystems. So first, what you're going to see is a lot of CosmWasm deployments for OHO price fees onto other chains, and then the next step is EVM in Cosmos. So, the answer is yes. We've tested out this EVM version of our CosmWasm contracts. We've been on a couple test nets and sort of silently moving and testing that side of it as well. So immediately we want to be the sort of de facto and best Oracle within the Cosmos, because that's what we believe we are. But long term, we definitely are planning on deploying to these other sort of Ethereum specific chains, and also Aptos and Sui and all these Tendermint focused chains as well. So we really want to leverage not just our IBC compatibility, but also our intelligence with smart contracts, because our team has been building out smart contracts for a while, and we really want to support the sort of L1 or L2 projects on top of these L1s, because we see a lot of teams that can be like 2 or 3 guys, and they build these awesome projects just sort of out of nowhere and build this community on top of other chains. Terra was an insane example of that. And you get projects like Mars, which came out to be sort of the big lending in the Cosmos ecosystem before the Terra collapse. And we really want to sort of take these different ecosystems and help them thrive, right? We don't really want to build an OHO specific community. What we want to do is empower developers in each of these different ecosystems within the Cosmos to build new products with our Oracle technology, and that's a part of why it's going to be free for a little while. So the short answer is yes, we're planning on expanding out into the world of Ethereum for sure.
Next clip: how is OHO different from Band?
Well, we support more price feeds. We're Cosmos first. We're faster to integrate, and we have I think we're better. We have price feeds for liquid stake derivatives that Band doesn't have. And I know Timmy's all sad because I'm talking about Band. And I mean, again, Band is a great competitor in the ecosystem. They were the first Oracle that showed up as a Cosmos chain. But we're really hitting the ground running because we have this team of stellar engineers that they're not only familiar with this Oracle tech, they invented a vast majority of the stuff that we use. So being sort of born in the Cosmos and being really ingrained in the ecosystem, that's our advantage, right? You want to use us because one, it's easier, and two, you can do more with our data. You can create a better suite of applications with the amount of tokens that we support, and also with our historical, which allows you to create these sort of Ethereum-like DeFi applications in a low liquidity Cosmos world. And Cosmos won't always be low liquidity, but we will always be a Cosmos first chain.
After that, Stargaze had their Week 65 creator chat with NFT Studio discussing their new project 100% Safe Sleep. Cameron Bright hosted a space with Timpy. From that space, we have Gareth Evans discussing what people will be able to do once Timpy goes live.
We will be the only network in the world that offers unrestricted access to a web scale data set, right? And that's actually huge because there's no other network that provides the ability to then build the applications, but then seamlessly integrate with web scale data. It's mind-boggling the use cases that can be put around this for people who want to build decentralized applications. We're really talking about any and every industry in the world who wants to build an application that uses web scale data sets. Timpy is the only network where they can seamlessly do that.
Up next, Jay Buss chats on the question, will ChatGPT destroy the search engine market?
I mean, there have been questions around, okay, will ChatGPT destroy the search engine market and discussions around that. And no, it won't. So what it will do is will enhance our experience in search engines, which is great. From a Timpy point of view, it opened up a complete additional area of industry we can provide information to, because with our index and our ability to allow structured information or structured data extracted out of the index in real time is unique to the entire market, and we already started talking to businesses who are in the AI or machine learning industry, and what it is they need and how we can provide and help them. And that's a huge area that Timpy now taps into because of what happened with ChatGPT. And by the way, ChatGPT did get the most marketing, but it's not the only model out there.
After Cameron Bright's Timpy space, we had the Gelato Weekly space. And then moving on to Friday, June 2nd. Starting out the day, we had Rack FM with Bendy. We had Omniflix in the Studio 55. We had the Atom Zone, episode 9, which had a discussion on shared security. After that, we had AI Now with Fetch.ai. And then we had a interesting space, open versus closed source. Now, this is, well, you know, we'll just let you play a clip here. The first clip we have from the open versus closed source space, Pantera gives us an update on his missing wife and child.
My wife asked me this morning to cook her a delicious brunch, and she said she was going to run to the store quickly just to grab some things, and she took our child, a 2-year-old daughter, and a dog with her. And I've been sitting here with a full table of brunch for the last 6 hours, just waiting for her to come back from the store. I even made some homemade tomato ketchup with tomatoes that I grown in the garden. Her and I planted the seeds a couple months ago, and I mashed the tomatoes today, and hopefully she'll return from the store, because I've been staring at this charcuterie board and these grilled ears of corn and this homemade tomato sauce.
Pantera, what you're saying then is you prefer closed source, Kuji.
Asking the real questions. From the same space, here the next clip. How TerraSpaces scammed the community pool. Wait, what? You can't play that. That's bullshit. All right, well, fuck. I mean, if it's in the contract, let's hear the clip.
Everyone knows that TerraSpaces scammed the community pool, right? For $80,000.
Whoa. First of all, it was 80,000 Luna, which is not worth $80,000. Second of all, I didn't scam shit. I put in more work than a lot of y'all, so let's keep that in mind here.
For what is really a Twitter Space built-in feature, which is right here, the record function, he apparently was seeking $80,000 to record Twitter Spaces for Terra when there are no Twitter Spaces, and Twitter Spaces have a record function. That is the benefit of pity community pool funding and stuff. But anyway, if he really wanted to make serious money beyond that, because £80,000 isn't going to make you rich.
All right, Bruce, shut the fuck up. If I really was in this for the money, I wouldn't be in this. I would have kept my fucking job that was paying me nice money. But no, I believed in what you fuckers were building. Ah, that's the rub. When you believe in something, sometimes you do things not just for the money. I couldn't expect a pleb like you to understand that, but sometimes people just do things because it's the right thing to do. I know. I shouldn't let him get under my skin like that. Fucking Bruce.
What he would do is try and bribe people. And it's like, I will keep up your voice docs, which can be used forever to scam others and cause your family hassle and whatever else. And if you do not pay me X amount of money, then I'm going to keep it up forever. I think it's like I was thinking about this the other day, where for the last 5 years, we were giving aspects of our identity that we thought were private. But in fact, that they're like really big doxes. Even something like my writing style or my voice can be used against me heavily, right? Like all of those things, we were hiding our names and our face. But everything else we've shown is actually like a key to inflict some serious damage down the road, Sephi. Like imagine if people find out who you are, for instance, Sephi. The amount of fucking stuff they would have on you. And also, not only to be able to poach your voice, but all of that content. Like imagine if I can download 50 hours of Sephi audio and I can ask the bot, work out who this guy is.
Okay, now, that's not a bad idea and probably a lot less work for a lot more money than what I'm doing currently. So I'll get the TerraSpaces CFO on the horn. We'll schedule a meeting. We'll hop on the plane, the private jet that we own now. And, we'll do a face-to-face. We'll meet somewhere like in the Bahamas, maybe. I hear it's nice this time of year. And we'll get shit done. I like it. Thank you, Bruce. And now the clips that I believe you've all been waiting for. The main event. The coup de grace, as they say in France. Are you ready for the speeches? I'm ready for the speeches. First up, a speech from Jacob.
My name is Jacob Gadikian, and I stand before you today with a deep conviction about the core principles that underpin the very essence of blockchain technology. Principles of openness, transparency, and inclusivity. This technology that we have come to know and love is fundamentally rooted in these principles, each contributing to its revolutionary power and its potential to shape our world in ways we are only beginning to grasp. Imagine then my dismay when I see people straying from these core principles, establishing closed source blockchains that shroud their inner workings in mystery and exclude their communities from participating in their evolution. It goes against the spirit of what we've built. And I believe we need to confront this issue head on. Now, you might find it odd or even amusing when I suggest that those who start closed source blockchains should be metaphorically trapped inside a cage until they apologize. It's just a visual, provocative idea. And that's precisely the point. But let me clarify. The cage I speak of is not one of steel bars and locks. It's a cage of self-reflection, a metaphorical call for introspection, and a return to the founding principles of blockchain technology. When creators choose to close off their code, they are not only depriving their users of understanding and trust, but also impeding the growth and development of the entire blockchain ecosystem. Each closed source project creates another silo, another blockage in the flow of innovation. It stalls the collective wisdom of open source collaboration that has been a bedrock of this technology's unprecedented development. When we cage these individuals, we are not demanding punishment. We are demanding awareness, responsibility, and recommitment to the ideals of blockchain. This cage is a space for them to confront the impacts of their actions, understand the disservice they've done to our community, and most importantly, a chance for them to apologize.
Oh, next speech, Chepe, Cefe, Cefi. The man so nice they named him thrice. Give us your speech, sir.
My name is Tefii, and I'm doing a tour of France right now. I'm here under these beautiful Parisian lights, surrounded by historical monuments and awe-inspiring landscapes. But there is this inexplicable pull, this inexplicable urgency that's been, well, it's been eating at me. It's Montenegro. I need to get to Montenegro. You see, I'm a medical doctor. That's right, a lifesaver. I've saved lives, ladies and gentlemen, over 10,000 of them to be precise. I know how to navigate the human body, can tell you about every muscle, every vein. But Montenegro, the path to it from France, that, my dear friends, eludes me. I'm desperate in a way I can't fully express to find my path to Montenegro. This isn't just a whim. It isn't just a passing interest. It's become a necessity, a compulsion. I feel like a man on the edge of madness. I've saved 10,000 lives, but I can't seem to save myself from this neurotic, intense need to figure out how to get to Montenegro. I could make a diagnosis for a patient with a complex medical condition in my sleep, but this simple geographical journey, it seems more complicated than any medical conundrum I've ever faced. Can you see it in my eyes? The desperation, the urgency. I stand here, a medical marvel, someone who's brought people back from the brink, and yet I can't find my way to Montenegro. It's like a puzzle that I can't solve, a cure that I can't find, a diagnosis that I can't make. It's gnawing at me, nibbling away at my sanity. Can someone, anyone tell me how to get to Montenegro from France? This isn't a
Listen,
trivial
man.
request. This
Google
isn't a
it.
simple plea. This is a man, a doctor, who's dedicated his life to solving problems, saving lives, who now finds himself on the brink, unable to resolve this one issue.
Jesus Christ, I'm going to talk to myself now.
And if that wasn't eerie enough, up next, a speech from the infamous Kyle Davies.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Kyle Davies, the disgraced tycoon founder of Three Arrows Capital. And yes, I'm the man who once wore an $18 billion crown. Today, I am compelled to discuss the differences between a bull, the hoofed animal that roams our fields, and ox, a beacon of innovation in our increasingly digital world. Starting with the bull, a stubborn brute of an animal, exemplifying strength, power, and obstinacy, a creature as intractable as a rock. But compared to the intricate mechanics of ox, it might as well be as exciting as watching paint dry. Ox isn't some run-of-the-mill crypto token. No, Ox is the heart of the open ecosystem, a staking token that goes beyond the norm, allowing its holders to receive up to a 100% discount on fees. This isn't a snooze fest of a bull's life. This is a dynamic, adaptable, and exciting world of tokenomics. But the obliviousness and misunderstanding surrounding this sophisticated token model have turned me into a seething pot of frustration. It feels as though I'm describing a Monet to a mole, a Mozart to a stone. It's hair-tearingly infuriating, enough to make me contemplate melting myself down under the merciless sun of the Dubai desert, or engorging on Uzbeki ducklings in some desperate attempt to distract from this vexation. And Ryan, if you're listening, pay attention because this is important. As your potential mentor, I want you to understand this. Ox is not just a piece of your portfolio. It's a revolutionary tool designed to give its holders a voice, a stake, and benefits in a brand new financial ecosystem. Understand this, Ryan, and you are already a step ahead in understanding tokenomics. Let's be clear. OX is not an investment. It's a partnership. By staking OX, you're aligning yourself with an entire ecosystem. You're not a user, but a participant, a partner integral to shaping the future of this open ecosystem. In the planes of tokenomics, Ryan, this is what distinguishes the real players from the bystanders. And Ryan, let me stress this again. With OX, you can secure free trading for life. No bull can promise you that. If you stake enough OX, you trade without fees. It's as simple as that. This is an example of elegant tokenomics that you must appreciate, Ryan. OX is a leap forward, a game changer, a revolution. Yet the persistent misunderstanding surrounding this concept has driven me to the brink. Listen to me, Ryan, and you will learn a valuable lesson in tokenomics. I want to be your mentor, Ryan, because it's clear you need to understand this. OX embodies the principles of open markets, transparency, and the tokenization of real-world assets. It represents the first step toward liberating billions of frozen capital. It is the future. So, Ryan, the next time you see a bull, I want you to think of OX. See beyond the stubborn animal destined for a life of grazing, and envision the dynamic and transformative power of OX. Let this be a lesson in tokenomics, Ryan, from a potential mentor who wants you to understand the intricate mechanics of this revolutionary token. I am Kyle Davies, and for those of you who don't get it yet, including you, Ryan, let me reiterate, OX is not your average bull. It's a revolution.
All right. Thank you, Kyle Davies. Next up, Jacob Gadigan back for a second speech. That should be good.
Shut up. Shut up, everyone. It's me, Jacob Gadikian, and we have a real issue to address here. A nasty little issue named Kuji. And look, folks, I've had it up to here with this closed source madness. Closed source blockchains like Kuji are not just bothersome. They're downright insidious. They're black boxes of mystery, repositories of hidden and inaccessible information. This isn't some tantalizing magic show. It's a significant obstacle, a real pain in the assets. Strayed from the conversation we need to be having, the importance of open versus closed source blockchains. We've become mired in this dismal swamp of opaque software. And frankly, it's driving me up the wall. The sheer ignorance is forcing me to crave the scorching heat of a Dubai desert, to fantasize about indulging in Uzbeki ducklings in a futile attempt to distract from the infuriating absurdity. Open source is the future. Transparency, accessibility, collaboration. These are the pillars of a progressive technological society. With open source, we are not just users, we are contributors, collaborators, partners. Kuji, with its closed-off approach, undermines these very principles. It's a problem, a glaring issue, an unexploded bomb in the heart of our digital universe. Listen to me, you Kuji enthusiasts. You're not just messing around with a harmless bit of code. You're meddling with the foundation of trust and openness upon which our digital society is built. This isn't just about some esoteric technical debate. This is about the future of our society, our world. To those supporting Kuji, I implore you, get your heads out of the sand. Stop this pursuit of the closed off, the exclusive, the secretive. Embrace openness, transparency, collaboration. Let's bring down this closed source menace and
thanks, Jacob.
Truly unhinged.
And if that wasn't enough to end not just that space, but the clip show, the Tegridy review, our last clip of the evening, day, morning, whenever the fuck, Jimmy the Otter. Now, is this the real Jimmy, or is this an artificial Jimmy? I don't know. That's the great thing about all this. Nobody will ever fucking know. Jimmy, what's going on?
To reply to your earlier point, I think you're a scammer. I think that you're a rugger. I think you're bad for the ecosystem. Thank you.
Would you like to speak a little bit more on that point?
Nope. I think what was said needed to be said. You're like the bit boy.
No, I agree, Jimmy. What do you think the right way to punish me is? I can help.
Well, you're blocked.
No, you're right. That is a punishment. But is there anything specific I can do to punish myself?
Can you come in here, please, my Pakistani Indian friend?
Would you like to kill the space?
Mm-hmm. And just like that, the space died. I wonder if Jimmy like has one of them like little boards where you like count the slash marks, and if he just like keeps track of how many spaces he's killed. So that's gonna do it for the Tegridy review. Thanks for listening. For the week starting Monday, May 29th, 2023, and ending June 4th with Jimmy the Otter. We started so strong, and we ended even stronger. For TerraSpaces.org and Tegridy.news, I'm Finn Martin. Not a scammer.
Nice. I'm gonna tell you something. When the world starts to get really bad and these mugs out here robbing, you gonna love digital currency.
All these motherfuckers, they be running and gunning, and I'm all like, I'm sitting back just having fun in the sun, and then I'm like 1 out of 100. I'm just building abundance. It's some of everything we built during the last 100 upsets. You're getting salty, feeling faulty. You ain't no man. I keep Robo here, grinning ear to ear, throwing up anarchy, smoking toiletries, spitting philosophies. Look at the dossier. We rack like geology. There's layers to this shit, like it's sedimentary. All these little onion peels getting torn off and buried. Imagine the smell. That shit is a vital experience. Without knowing how, you will not survive, period.
He's a fucking trip, man.
Jimmy, if you listen to this, right, you're getting absolutely fucking ripped to death, like on a scale fucking live, you little troglodyte bastard. I hope you fucking listen, I hope you come to my house, son. I swear to God, man, I've got fucking loads of weapons and mad dogs, man. Mate, you just a little rat, man. Go on, fuck off, man. Go on, Harmony. No other wonder you're looking for a fucking job. You fucking idiot. You've just been fucking at the death. Fuck off.
Try to change the course of the portion philosophy. I'm just here for the corporation sponsored lobotomy. Feels like I won the lottery, like I'm ghosting this pottery. Chill, Demi, more the shit's supposed to be haunting. If it wasn't, ain't no puzzle, you would try to train your muscle. Airdropping like a fatal hustle, but the pay is bustin'. Think of all the loss accrued just to pick apart the tricky custom. I figured all those sub-dials would make up for something. I guess it just goes to show the fuck do I know. At least it's quiet over here, I like my little silo. It's better than watching them fight over how to divide my time between sitting at the desk and the ride home. Devs at Mickey D's, they leeching off that Wi-Fi. Zapdos and more, they shipping more than 5 guys. Console open, waiting for the kamikaze. When the flash loans bang, they feeling like paparazzi. Snapshot motherfuckers. We got layers, meteor jawbreaker. We cracking a lot of craters. We rapping a lot of pay dirt, maxing out relators. Imagine the smell, $5 wrench to your Darth Vader.
It's really funny to us at Binance that everyone here is talking about blockchain attack. We know who all the validators are. We know where they live, and we're going to their house with a wrench, a big wrench, and we will attack them with the wrench, and then we will take their validator node physically and put it in a truck and drive it to China.
Right. So this is an extension of the activities you performed on BTC, right? Funding and creating these massive Bitcoin mines, putting them in caves, putting them in factories that were abandoned in the past, and also using electromagnetic pulse bombs to detonate the USA and the other country mines, right? So you're now applying this strategy to Lung in order to take over the chain. Is that correct?
It's more simple. There's no EMP bomb. It's just a van of men in balaclava, and they have wrench, and they're taking the physical validators from people's houses. They are usually very fat, and they're usually in the shower with trying to wash their mice droppings off their clothes. So it's very simple. We just walk in and we take it. But if there's someone who is sitting at the computer or sleeping at the computer, we hit them with the wrench really, really hard, and then they say, "Stop, don't do that again." And we say, "That's okay. Just give us your validator node," and then they give it to us and we drive it to China.
TerraSpaces.